Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Welcome to the first of the 5 end of project videos. These are not necessarily going to take the same format as I go through. Each plant may get a different presentation, but the idea is to present the whole year. So basically we did the project updates every 6 weeks, so we've got a year's worth of videos and or stills to actually put together. Now this first one is the Masdevallia falcata. Some of the video clips on this in the updates were quite short, and the main reason was the plant itself didn't change much over the whole year. So at the end of the year it looks incredibly similar to how it did at the beginning. It hasn't dropped many leaves. It's grown some new ones, but it did bloom part way through the project, so we actually saw the blooms. That was the first time it had bloomed, and it hasn't bloomed since. It's due, it should be due. But anyway, so the format for this one, I'm actually just going to put the video clips together in a chain. So there'll be one after the other. So the words at the beginning of each clip will be repetitive, because obviously I'm saying what the plant is and blah blah blah, but nonetheless it was the easiest way to do this one on the grounds that not much changed over the whole year. So as I said, the format will be probably different for each one. I suspect this will be the only one in this format because in the main the video clips were short. Some of the others had quite long video clips because there was a lot more to say, there was more going on. So we'll see how we go, but I'll be doing one a week for the next 5 weeks. So starting with this one today. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. When we get to the 5th one, we'll close the project basically. We'll have to think of another one then, won't we? Because there isn't one going on at the moment. Yeah, it might be worth having a think and suggestions for a new project. They don't have to be a year long, they don't have to be multi-choice plants. They can be anything that forms a regular basis of viewing some plants. That's really the principle of a project. So anyway, I'll leave it with you, and I'll put the clips together following on, and see you in the next one. Bye for now. Okay, this is our first plant, and this one, I wouldn't say it was an absolute clear winner. It had 24 points against the second place of 20. The other plant didn't get many points at all. So not a strikingly clear winner, but nonetheless it's the one you chose. This is Masdevallia falcata. It is my best Masdevallia, that's for sure. But I did say in the beginning that this has not bloomed, and at the moment I'm just looking round. To check for blooms on a Masdevallia you have to look at the sheaths on the latest growths. So growths that are new, you look at the sheath, and that's where the spike will come from, out of the sheath. They are quite obvious when you see them, and that's why I'm just having a good look while we've got it on camera, and I see no signs of blooms, so at the moment it's a non-bloomer. Nonetheless, our benchmark is with the I won't move the label, the tag, so that's going to be the front view of the plant that we look at. There's a reason for that. It's got some right manky leaves around the back here. This one's bent. This one is drooping, this one's twisted and badly marked. This one here has been chopped off. I don't remember doing that myself, but I could have done. And we've got a dodgy leaf here. So this is not the best part of the plant, but nonetheless we've got a new growth here and a new growth here. So there are new growths coming out. Now Masdevallias tend to grow from the centre outwards. Some of them only produce new growths on about half the plant. So that plant will move and drop the older part behind it as it progresses. And others, if they grow for long enough, will produce effectively a dead centre with hardly any leaves on it, and all the new growth will be around the edges, so around the edge of the pot in captivity. Another nice new growth here, right next to the label. And that'll be our one to watch, right next to the label, so that'll be in our front view. And behind the label is another one. So we've got some new growths. There's some coming up in the middle of the plant as well. New Masdevallia leaves look like this. They haven't opened, so they're flat. And then eventually they open up and look like this. So you can tell a new leaf as it's heading towards maturity, because it will eventually open. Now this has already been repotted, so there's no repot to do. It had a pretty good root system, but because it was put in a larger pot, most of that root system is not visible from the edge of the pot. I am hoping that we will see progress on the roots out towards the edge of the pot as it takes hold after its repot, providing it does. The reason that's important is that some Masdevallias object quite nastily to actually being repotted, and will actually not grow any new leaves for some new roots for some time, and others take off like little rockets. Well, this one isn't taking off like a rocket at the moment. Nonetheless, the leaves are okay. There's no drooping, and it hasn't dropped a leaf since it was repotted. So I don't think it's going to suffer. It's just a matter of adapting to its new media and getting some roots going. And as long as there are new growths, there will be new roots. They tend to go together. So that's our first plant. My expectation for this is very simple. That over the next year, I'd expect to see this plant fill this pot with roots. In addition to that, it would get bigger as the new growths progress and more of them appear. There is no reason for that not to happen on this plant, and being a Masdevallia, although we get short days in the winter time, it doesn't stop them growing. They just slow up a bit. Being a cool grower, it's not subject to a warm season and a cold season where it doesn't grow much. It will grow throughout the year. It will only react to the shorter days where its growth will slow down because it doesn't get the daylight hours it needs. But apart from that, it should carry on growing throughout the year, getting larger, more mature, decent root system, and somewhere down the line perhaps we'll get some blooms. So that's that. Okay, here's our first plant, Masdevallia falcata. Little noticeable change because it's a relatively large Masdevallia and it has a lot of leaves. So if I look up and say, well, it's actually grown 6 or 7 new leaves, you can't really tell the difference from what it looked like before, if you see what I mean. But I mean, this new leaf is obvious because that wasn't there before. So it has put on quite a lot of new growths. Another one in here, another one here. There's more new growths coming. What I don't see as yet is any sign of blooms. They are often difficult to spot. You've got what the blooms come from here, alongside the base of the leaf, out of the sheath. That's where the blooms come from. So obviously until they push up you can't really see them coming. But anyway, we do have quite a lot of new growths, and at the end of the day that was supposedly the progress. The idea was also to see some new root growth following the repot that it had. Well, there are some signs of new roots in places. I wouldn't say it's a massive set of roots, but there are some growing near the surface that will get down in the pot, and some have already started to do so. So here as well. So we have got some root growth that wasn't there before, and we've certainly got quite a few more new leaves. The more leaves we get, the more strength the plant's got. So unless there's another factor, like light is the particular one in question, that's not right for it, then it should be strong enough to bloom. Now again, this one hasn't bloomed, so I don't know at what point in its growth cycle it's supposed to bloom. Some Masdevallias have a lot of blooms all at once at a certain time of year, and some have an odd bloom every now and again right throughout the year, so they do vary quite a bit. So anyway, I'm pleased with that. It hasn't gone downhill in any shape or form. It's pushing up new growths all over the plant, not just in one little place, and we have some signs of new roots coming down from the top of the pot. Those will be from, in the main, the new growths that are pushing up. But some of the new growths are in the middle of the plant, so some new roots will be going down in the middle of the plant, which we can't even see until they, make their way to the edge. So that's that one. Okay, this is our first plant. This is Masdevallia falcata, and the main change on this particular plant is we now have a flower spike. So this will be a first time blooming for me. This is a healthy plant. It's had a few leaf chops, brown tips. There's another one over here, could do with doing. We do have some root growth in the pot, not a huge amount, but this was potted on. So whereas all the roots were down the outside of the pot, when it was put in a bigger pot and the media just added down the outside, obviously that trapped the roots. So it's going to take a little while for them to make their way to the outside of the pot. But we do have root growth going on, and as I said, we now have a flower spike. This is probably my best Masdevallia as far as size is concerned. It's got several growing points within it, several clumps of leaves, which might mean it was initially a few separate plants clumped together. But nonetheless, it's a nice sized plant, it's growing well, it puts up new growths on a continuous basis, basically. We've got one coming up here. They're often difficult to spot because they're in the middle of the plant, but there's one here, another one here. So it's growing well, and here too. It's growing new leaves. Unfortunately, as Masdevallias go, when you get a plant this size, it could put up half a dozen new leaves and you won't see the difference because there are so many leaves. I'm not counting them. You can have a go if you like. Anyway, it's doing okay. This bloom, in theory, given what's gone into it, which is Coccinea and Veitchiana, I believe, from memory, they are both quite large blooms. They are both orange in basic colour, so we should have quite a large orange bloom on the plant. Just the one that I can see at the moment, but one's better than none, which is what we've had in the past. So that's the first plant. Okay, this is the first plant chosen by yourselves. The main difference we've got here is we do actually have blooms. Now, last time we looked at this plant, we actually had a bud, so I knew it was coming into bloom. That bud has bloomed and gone over, and we now have more. We have these two at the front and another one coming here. I don't see any signs of any more, but that doesn't mean to say there won't be any. It's come into flower, and often with Masdevallias that can produce quite a little run as it goes along. It's produced quite a few new growths, so it does have the ability to push up flower spikes on those growths. So we may get more. We've got reasonable roots. I wouldn't say it's a brilliant root system, but we have reasonable roots in the pot. And we have reasonable foliage on the plant. There's a few leaves have had trim because they had brown tips. Can't remember whether I did that or whether they were like that when I got it. The likes of these, they do sort of spoil it. I've got so many leaves on this plant now, I could cut those leaves off at the base to improve the look of it. which if it had to go to a show, that's what I would do. I would take all damaged leaves off, leaving just good ones. Anyway, I'm pleased with the progress on this. I'm pleased to have got the blooms. We did have to have a discussion about the blooms. The two parents of this cross are both orange, or what you could call orangey red. And to actually get a primary cross that produces yellow blooms, I found a little bit unusual and thought that we might have a misnamed plant. But it turns out under investigations that the cross, if reproduced from seed, does have variable blooms and can produce yellow right through to red through the oranges. So this is a natural occurrence at the end of the day. So that's plant number one. Pleased with the progress. Okay, so this is our first plant selected by you good viewers from a list, and this is Masdevallia falcata, and I've been meaning to do this for a couple of days. There's a bloom gone over, so we will snip that off while I've got it under my nose. Now this one's progressed okay. It's dropped a few leaves, but then it's grown quite a few as well. So I would suggest the number of actual leaves on the plant has remained roughly the same. As I said, a few have gone over and there are some new ones. So there we go. Now this has been in bloom for quite a while, but it's sort of on and off. I've just taken that bloom off, but we do have another one. I don't see any more coming, not at the moment, but they seem to just appear. They seem to sort of creep up on you. And the fact of the matter is these don't get watered too often, so I don't pick them up very often. So until the bud sort of breaks cover and sort of bursts out from the leaves, I don't tend to see them because I don't go searching for them basically. But I think the plant's doing okay. It's got some roots. It doesn't seem to be a huge amount of progress on the roots, but there's lots of roots showing at the base of the plant. So I think there's a lot of roots sort of underway, if you know what I mean. And, you know, I mean, there are places on the plant. Let me just pick it up. If you look here, in that area, there's a mass of roots there. They just haven't got to the edge of the pot yet. So it's got plenty of roots on it, and it's doing okay. Although it's it's got a bud on it, that's obviously not a flower, so I will do a picture of the flower. Whoops, bang the camera, why don't you? Whoops. I've put my board up the other way so there's a gap either end. That's deliberate so that when I pick the Cymbidium up, which is, I think it's the last plant, it doesn't go off the top of the board, but I'm going to have to take the camera off the tripod for that one anyway. So stand right back by the door to do that one, it's so big. Yeah, so this one's doing okay. I'm pleased with its progress. My Masdevallia is in the main, apart from one, which is not doing well at all. Totally unknown why. You know, it's a cool to cold grower, which is what I've got nowadays. Couldn't ask for cooler or colder type conditions, but I've got one that's just going downhill. Unfortunately, it's Hannah's favourite Masdevallia, but I can only do what I can do, and that one just seems to be dropping more leaves than it's gaining, so it's gradually going downhill. But this one's not. This one's doing okay. So that's plant number one. Okay, here we go with plant number one then, and this is the Masdevallia falcata. Now, the last couple of times we've looked at this, it's had a bloom, or two I think in one case. Got no blooms this time, and there's no sign of any coming. You have to bear in mind, you know, we're in mid-December, we're 1 or 2 days away from the least amount of daylight in a day, and the short days have an effect even on cooler growers that are happy with my temperatures. They're not happy with the day length. Nonetheless, this is growing. Got new leaves showing. You see the difference in the colour. Not quite full size yet. So we do have new leaves coming out, and we've only dropped a couple of leaves, not many, so I think we've gained more than we've lost this time round. We've got some roots in the pot showing. There's a couple of old tired ones, but there's some that are active. So all in all, this plant is doing fine. And that leaf's coming off. I've got a thing about when I see leaves that are starting to look a bit odd on a Masdevallia, I take them off straight away on the grounds that there is a, I don't know whether it's a fungus or something like that, but it's called Masdevallia leaf drop. Appropriate name, because that's exactly what happens. And if your plant gets it bad, it will dump most of its leaves overnight and they don't come back. The plant effectively dies. So I think that any untoward leaves need coming off in case there's an infection that could then spread to the whole plant. That's the theory, and I could be totally wrong, but that's what I do with my plants. So as far as this one's concerned, it's progressing okay. I'm happy with its progress. It's not going downhill, it's slowly going uphill, and I suspect its rate of growth will increase as the day lengths increase. So that's the first one. Okay, so our first plant is the Masdevallia falcata. Now this one doesn't really show up much of a difference, and unless it comes into bloom, you're not going to see much difference on this one. It does produce new leaves, so slowly but surely it is getting bigger. It drops very few. It puts on more than it drops, which is good. We've got some root activity in the pot, so we've got some roots. This one's doing okay. I'm actually quite pleased with this. I suspect this will come into bloom when the day length, the amount of daylight gets longer, and we might get a little bit better temperatures during the day. I know these are cool growers, but they still like that distinct rise between the night temperature and the day temperature, and during this time of year I get very little difference, and with the shorter amounts of daylight, it's probably thinking it's permanently in the dark. So I suspect some brighter light and larger amounts of daylight and slightly warmer daytime temperatures should bring this back into bloom again. We shall see. Keeps producing the new growths, obviously it needs those to bloom, but doing okay, pleased with that one. As this project has progressed, it's evolved, and my latest idea, which would have been nice if I'd had at the beginning, was to actually put my turntable on a pot so that the whole of the plant is surrounded by the blue background, as opposed to having my table as the base, which is not a nice colour, and that sort of gets the plant to stand out completely. So it would have been nice to have done that at the beginning, but I didn't think of it at the beginning. I thought of it today. Anyway, first plant, Masdevallia falcata. This has been a successful Masdevallia. You have to bear in mind many Masdevallias in the past have not made it through their second year. A lot of that was the heat at the old place, and some of it was bringing poor plants into this world, and they didn't adapt because they were already poor plants because of the heat in the other place. However, this plant was brought into this environment and seems to have adapted really well. It has many new leaves, progressing nicely, coming out in various places. We have had blooms on it, but not many. I suspect the longer day lengths and brighter light that go with that sort of environment may actually induce some more blooms. We have had some. Now we've got root activity, more than we've had before. It's starting to show in various places now. So whereas there was hardly any roots showing in the pot, there's now some. It's not what I'd call a good root mass yet, but it's making progress. That's the main thing. As long as it's growing roots and they don't die, and the plant has reasonable leaves that don't keep dropping off, it should be okay longer term. And when I get my new environment coming soon, In fact, we will be working on it tomorrow. It should make an amount of difference to these sorts of plants. Anyway, as far as progress is concerned with this one, I'm very pleased. It's hung in there. It's got bigger as time has gone on, and we'll notice that when we do the end of project video for it, because we'll be going right back a year ago to what it was like then, and we'll bring it forward. And as we come forward, I think one of the videos has actually got the blooms in, so we'll actually see the blooms. But yes, very pleased with that. So here we are with the final video of the plant number 1 Project Orchids video clips. As I said at the beginning, I probably won't do any of the others in this format, but it worked well for this one, I think. I hope you agree. Now, this plant has been successful. As Masdevallias go, I couldn't really ask for any more. It's put on a lot of growth. We've had blooms down the line. We have lost a few leaves, but then we've gained more than we lost. It's a bigger plant than what we started with, and in addition to that, we have quite a lot of root activity. There is a fair bit of root growth in the pot compared with virtually none when we started, so it has put on quite a lot of root as it's gone along. So very pleased with this one. Very pleased. I won't be able to say that about all the others, I'm sure, but this one has been a success. It was chosen by your good selves. I mean, I made the selection of the plant types, so I decided we would have a Masdevallia, and then you were given a selection of my Masdevallias to choose one, and quite honestly this is the best one, so I wasn't surprised, and it got the most points, the most votes by far. But the size of the leaves are getting bigger as time goes on. This is a new leaf, still got the pale green colour. This is quite a lot larger than other leaves on the plant. So even the leaves are getting bigger on here. We're in the growing season now, but the problem is above this plant are other plants that are in the growing season that are also getting bigger. And they're actually shading this a bit, so I'm not sure this is getting enough light, because I would have hoped we'd have some blooms to finish the project with, but there's no sign of any. There's no buds showing. There's plenty of new growths. So as with last year, I think the main reason for this not blooming is it's not quite getting enough light, so we might have to do something about that. Nonetheless, that finishes the project for the Masdevallia falcata. I hope you've enjoyed the way the projects have gone with the selected plants, and this is the final update for this one, so we won't be seeing this one again in this format. Obviously we'll take a peek at it now and again. Next time we probably look at it, it'll be because it's got some buds on it. Cross everything, as they say. Anyway, thanks for sticking with the projects and the various plants that we've had, and I know not everyone will be interested in all of the types of plants. That's fair enough, and a lot of people are only interested in ones they can probably grow themselves. There's one way of selecting viewers, but nonetheless some viewers watch all my videos, and hopefully you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.